Alright, today's the day. I'm testing my first giant sword, Prime Fang. It's rough, unpolished, but ready to swing. And while I'm testing, I'm starting something even bigger, building the art of training with giant swords. Think of it as the foundation for naming moves, combos, and creating structured training sessions. In this episode, I'll show how I put together level 1 of Prime Fang, give it an initial test to feel its weight and balance, and even share a sneak peek of how I'm naming the moves, starting with the phases of the moon. Trust me, this is just the beginning. Stick around to see how Prime Fang performs in its first trial, and how this unpolished sword is already shaping up to be a serious training tool. Before cutting, precision is everything. I'm marking out the dimensions of the blade, the handle, and the tip to make sure everything lines up perfectly. Each line represents a critical step in the build. The blade needs to have the right proportions, the handle must fit comfortably, and the tip has to be symmetrical. Even with basic tools, careful planning makes a huge difference. With the measurements done, the blueprint for Prime Fang is ready. Now it's time to cut. Cutting the tip of the blade is one of the trickiest parts of this build. To get a clean and precise angle, I'm using a Japanese saw, which requires control and alignment. Without a proper workbench, I had to get creative. I'm sitting on the floor using pieces of wood to elevate and stabilize the blade. Interestingly, these support pieces will later become the weights for the larger sword. To keep the saw aligned, I'm using another piece of wood as a guide. This setup may look improvised, but it works surprisingly well. The Japanese saw cuts smoothly and allows for precision, but it's all about patience and keeping the angle consistent. Every stroke needs to stay steady to avoid ruining the shape of the tip. Working without a bench has its challenges, but it's also part of the process. It forces you to adapt and make the most of the tools and materials you have. After a few careful minutes, the tip is finally cut, giving Prime Fang the sharp, angled edge it needs to stand out. One more step closer to the finished blade. Now it's time to cut the handle, the part that connects me to the blade. This step is all about precision and patience, but it's also surprisingly fun. Without a bench, I had to get creative again, switching between sitting on the floor and kneeling on the wood to get the right angles. The Japanese saw works well, but every stroke takes focus to keep the cut straight. It felt more like a workout, but one I was actually enjoying. And then things got weird. For some reason, the lighting decided to turn blue. I'm not sure if this is a glitch in my camera or if Prime Fang is channeling its energy from another realm. Either way, it made the process feel a little more magical. Maybe this sword is choosing me as its wielder, but spoiler alert, I accept. With the blue glow keeping me company, I kept pushing through. Cutting the handle was more fun than I expected. Switching positions and adjusting my approach to get it just right. Slowly but surely, the handle started to take shape. It's not perfect yet. This is still level 1 of Prime Fang, but it's functional. The more I work on it, the more it feels like the sword is coming to life. Another step closer to completion. To finish level 1 of Prime Fang, I wrapped the handle with cinzal. It's a simple and effective grip for now, with just a small drop of glue at the end to lock it in place. This is a temporary design. Eventually I'll round out the edges to make it more comfortable, but for now, Prime Fang is ready to swing. This is more than just swinging a sword, this is the start of a training system. Every movement I'm testing with Prime Fang today is part of a bigger plan. I'm analyzing how the sword feels, how my body reacts, and how the moves flow naturally. From this, I'm building the foundation for the art of training with giant swords, a system inspired by the phases of the moon and structured to grow over time. The basics are already in place. I've named the core movements and the fighting stances, and I'll reveal them in the next chapter. This isn't just a sword, it's the beginning of a progressive journey with every step documented and added to the system. Stay tuned, this is where it all begins. If you're enjoying this journey so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There's so much more to come. Bigger swords, structured training, and the evolution of this entire system. Stay tuned for the next episode where I reveal the basics of the moves and stances that will lay the foundation for the art of training with giant swords. Let's build this together.